generation, you have the ability that we don't have, because you can change the structural issues that we have in our community. And that's what the problem is. Like, we change all the time. Change actually is overrated. We change mayors, we change governors, we change police commissioners. Change is a little bit overrated, but you guys have the opportunity to actually create that structural transformation that we need. Because the situations that exist in our community are systemic. They institutionalized. It's not the white man, it's the systems that the white man protect. The fact that we 44% of the population and we get 6% of the school district contracts, 85% of the people in our schools look like us. But we get 6% of the contracts. We get 3% of us in the sheet metals union, 2% in the carpenters union. The problems that exist in our community are structural. And the only people that can solve the structural problems in our community are you. I can sit up here and yell and scream and throw out numbers and data. I'm a big fan, in God we trust, everybody else bring data. So I'm always bringing data. The fact that the 19132, the median income is below $14,000. The 19121, that income is below $16,000. I'm telling you, the median income for whites is $42,000. And when I'm telling you these zip codes, 19133, 19120, these zip codes, and these are North Philly and West Philly zip codes, they $14,000 a year for a family. Who can survive off $14,000 a year? And again, we are 44% of the population in the city. We are not the minority. And you guys need to start spreading that, right? We're not the minority, we are the majority. So what's happening in a city like Philadelphia is the majority is discriminated against. And you tell me in any place in the world where you discriminate against the majority, where it's sustainable, where they survive. You can't survive. When you discriminate against the majority of the people, you cannot survive. So I threw all that information out there to plead, right? To put my plea out there to you guys. Change and transformation is in your hands. This is a key moment, right? Because young people are riled up about whatever, about police brutality, about the college campuses, racism on the college campus. Young people fired up. People like me been fired up, right? Now it's up to you guys. That change and transformation can't happen unless you guys be the catalyst for that change and transformation. You've been there, you've done that. You guys have to be that change, those change agents. This Black Political Summit that we put together, over 200 of us came together at a forum, a summit in Davos, and we said, okay, let's try to come up with remedies or recommendations that we feel will be advantageous to black folk. Not brown folk, not minorities, black folk. I have no problem saying black, right? Some people got a problem with saying black. But what's good for black is good for everybody, right? What's good for black is what's good for everybody. You cannot have a sustainable city when you keep on holding down and got your foot on the majority's throat. So here's where you guys come in. This Black Political Summit, we came up with 31 recommendations. 31 of them that we thought would be advantageous to the black community. We got all the mayoral candidates to sign off on those recommendations in 31. Some of them signed off on 30, some of them signed on 31, but for the most part, they all signed off on those recommendations. Every member of city council, but about 4 or 5 of them, I'm not gonna name them, signed off on those recommendations. All of them. What we need to do now is the important part, because black folk, we good sprinters. We good sprinters. We can sprint out behind us. You can see some young people that can run from that end of the block to that end of the block faster than you ever seen. We can sprint, we can hop some gates, we can hop fences. We are good sprinters. What we have problem with is doing what you guys have obviously already done. Went the long distance. Did that marathon thing. I hope I can do the marathon thing like you guys are doing right now. One day. People think I know everything. I don't know everything. I just want to learn everything. This is class for me. School's in session. That's why I asked this young man to film this, because I'm going to go back and I'm going to critique what I'm saying to you. Because school's in session for me all day, every day. But I need you guys, right? I need you guys. I cannot do this by myself. Even as young people can't do it by themselves, right? The only thing you have is today. Yesterday does not exist. Tomorrow is not here. All we have is right now.
Yes.
So while we all here right now, let's do the best we can do to make life better for those that have to leave, that we leave behind.
Yes.
How many of you guys, by a show of hands, have either have kids or grandkids? All right. So, and I'm going to ask you guys this, right? if you, and I know you do, I'm not gonna say if, since you care dearly about your children and your grandchildren, which is called in America, they call it our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution, is our posterity. Since you care about your children and your grandchildren, you have to care enough to change. Yeah, you. And me. You have to care enough to change. I mean, do something different this time. Let's take April 16th, because this summit is on April 11th, and we're preparing for what's coming up over the next 2-3 years. We're getting ready for it, because this is a long distance run that we're trying to do. This is a marathon, right? Change is more like an event, but transformation is a process. So we need you guys to help educate us about the process. Help educate young people about the process. We're going to go around and start having workshops. Because remember, that's what's missing, right? We've always had summits where we came up with recommendations. I remember my first summit, Dave Richardson was there, and it was at Franklin. I was just a young guy. But
You ain't even old enough.
but I was there. I was there listening. I didn't know what was going on. I just seen a lot of black folks screaming and yelling, so it seemed like the place to be. So I was listening. But what we didn't have back then was a mechanism of accountability. This time we have a mechanism and a focus on accountability. And I've been told don't go into it, but they put yours truly in charge of accountability. And if there's one thing I'm going to die doing is holding these cats accountable. And Asia tell you since meeting number 1, I just said, just tell me who to get. Just tell me who to get. Just tell me who I need to come after. But what we want to do before we have these cats accountable, or while we holding these cats accountable, is we're going to start educating the community. We're going to go out and start having workshops. And this is what Asia's so passionate about. She wants to start doing the education process. Not just informing and talking at people, but talking with and talking to people about the education, about the political process, about what does a city council do? What does a city council member do? What's the difference between the legislative branch of city government, right? Because all politics is local. What's the difference between the legislative branch, city council, and the executive branch, the mayor? And how do they interact? Let's start talking about this political apparatus and how it directly affects you. How it directly affects you. I need you guys to help us educate people about, okay, I don't like voting, I don't trust him, I don't trust that person. Okay, do you trust jobs? Because that was a question, the first question on the polls when you went in there is, do you allow the city to borrow $300,000 to do this or that? So okay, you don't like him and you don't trust him and you don't trust them, but do you trust jobs? Because that was a jobs question when you went there to vote. That was a jobs question there. That was a third of $1 billion job question. 1/3 of $1 billion. And 1/3 of $1 billion creates 8,000 jobs. 8,000 jobs at $40,000 an hour, at $40,000 a year. So you may not like this or trust this politician. Oh, them politicians ain't gonna do nothing to me. They ain't gonna do nothing to me. Well, will a job do something for you at $40,000 a year? Because that was the question that when you went there to vote. We need to start educating our young people about this political process and ourselves about the ramifications it has directly on our future. And you guys have to be willing to do something different when you go to the polls. I know you like this person, and I know you like that person. I went to school with him, and I went to that. But you got to give change a chance. Really, if you really think about it, how many of you guys are happy? You know, you got to raise your hand. But how many guys of you are happy with the situation that our city is in today? But we did that. We created the situation that we're in today by placing people that aren't accountable to us in office. And we keep placing these people that are not accountable to us in office. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Can I tell the truth?
Tell the truth.
Can I tell the honest to God truth?
Tell the truth. Tell the
Here's the
truth.
truth.
Forever holy.
Our elected officials have a mortgage. They also have a car note. They also have kids that got to go to school. So if the electoral workers union is funding their elections, and them being elected pays the car note, pays the mortgage, pays the school, who do you think they're going to be holding to? If I hold the key to your kid going to school and going to college and your bills getting paid and your mortgage getting paid, your car note getting paid, and I tell you to do something and you tell them to do something, who are they going to listen to? That's the reality, whether we like it or not. That is the reality. So you guys, unlike anybody else, are empowered like nobody else. You actually run this city. You just don't use your power. What's the little movie when the girl click her heels? What's the one? Yeah, that's you. That's all of you. You have the power. You hold the keys. I wish our generation had what you guys had. Because you're educated, you're savvy, and you're not lazy. You get your behinds up and go to the polls and do what you got to do. You hold the key. You hold the power. So with that being said, we're going to start having these workshops. I encourage you to please get engaged, get involved, because there's a window of opportunity that's open here. Because I'm involved like never before. So now you got me that want to go out there and do the work that you tell me to do. I got young people behind me in college campuses that want to do the work that I tell them to do. So I need you guys to instruct me. But you got to lead by example. I'm not going to just follow anybody blindly. That's why when they just say I'm so tough and I'm a hard way to go. Yeah, because I'm not going to just follow by example. I'm a show and tell kind of guy. Show me, then tell me. Now Asia shows and then she tells. I love her. I chose to love her. I never really met her till February, but I chose to love her because she shows, then tells. So I trust her. I will do anything. She don't even know it, but I'll do anything she asks me to do. Anything. Because I trust her. Mm-hmm. But I need you. I need you to take advantage of this opportunity that exists before us while all of us want to get engaged at a level we've never got engaged before and actually start taking our city back to the majority, giving it back to the majority. We are the majority. This city needs to work for us and our children and our grandchildren. We may not be able to change the nation. We may not be able to change the nation, but we darn sure, and you guys know it. You got enough connections around here. You know if you guys wanted to, you could change this city. I'm gonna leave with this, this last thing I want to share. I'm a high kind of energy kind of guy. So the job recommended, I work for a major financial institution. I'm a senior integration. I don't do this politics thing for a living. This is just what I want to do. I can't get out if I wanted to. This is bigger than me. I remember, I didn't like people calling me Emmanuel. I didn't like Emmanuel because it wasn't cool. Mike was cool. Mark was cool. Emmanuel was not cool. So I never really liked Emmanuel. But then somebody told me that Emmanuel meant God with us. And as I got older, I said, well, you know what? That might be kind of cool, right? God with us. So when I'm in a room, I'm like, I kind of say that my name's Emmanuel, and it reminds me that God is present. Yes. God is here. Yes. And he presents opportunity for us, and he sends messages to us through whatever means, right, that I don't even understand yet, but I'm sure you guys do. He sends messages and instructions to us in all kinds of forms. And maybe, just maybe, he sent Emmanuel, right, to touch us so we can start cooperating at levels we've never cooperated before. Just maybe. Mm-hmm. So what I wanted to close with is, so I go into, I'm kind of high strung, so I don't like people talking to me any kind of way on the job, right? I'm a senior integration engineer. I'm really, I'm kind of up there. I'm the only black guy, doing so. My job was to solve any problems that the other people couldn't solve. I wanted to solve it. And that's because I like a challenge. I wanted to prove that I was the best, right? So my job is to solve any problem that nobody else can solve at Chase, right? So we have something called a P1, priority one. So if P1 come in, you drop what you're doing and you solve that daggone problem. P1s could cost the bank $20,000 every minute. Every minute that problem exists, it could cost the bank $20,000. I wanted to solve those problems. But when solving those problems, I get people, vice presidents, talking to me kind of crazy. Now, me coming from 30th and Jefferson, I don't like people talking to me kind of crazy. I don't care who you are. I don't care what your title is. So, one of them talked to me kind of crazy. And I said, I went to my who do you think you're talking to kind of thing. Yeah. HR jumped in. I think you need to go talk to somebody about your problems, Emmanuel. I go talk to a psychiatrist about my problems, right? And the psychiatrist says, I don't think you have anger issues. I think you have anxiety issues. So I start arguing with the psychiatrist because I'm saying that I don't have anxiety issues. And she says, yes, you do. And I said, no, I don't. The session was over. I come back. I said, you know what? You might have been right. I may have anxiety issues. I may be anxious. You might be right. So we argue. I said, you may be right. I said, in fact, I think you're right because this was a time when some kids got killed up on Germantown Avenue, a grocery store or something. It was, somebody they got hit by a grocery food truck or something. Right on the Germantown and Allegheny. This was during that time. And so I came back into the next day. I said, you may be right. I may be anxious. I may be anxious about solving these problems in our community. I may be anxious about healing our community and creating opportunity for young people. I may be right about eliminating the disparity and the racism that exists in our country. And this was a black psychiatrist. I said, I may be anxious about all that. In fact, I think there's something wrong with whoever's not anxious about solving those problems. So now she get a little attitude. I can feel she got the message, right? So, so she says, Emmanuel, but you can't change the save the world. I said, oh, yes, I can. I said, I can change the world. She said, you can. I said, Barack changed the world. Malcolm changed the world. Martin changed the world. She said, but Emmanuel, what's the likelihood of you ever being like one of them?
Wow. Wow.
I said, what? I said, in fact, I think I'm better than them because I have Malcolm in me. I got Martin in me. I got Barack in me. And I know IT. So the argument got so heated between me and the psychiatrist that her assistant came in and had to intervene. And I said, let me ask you a question. Do you feel as though that anybody has the potential to do anything and everything if they put their mind to it? And her assistant said yes. And she said, it's time for you to go, Emmanuel. And I left out of that office, right? Left out of that office angry as heck. But when I got home, I realized something. She just didn't get it. It wasn't her fault. She was so educated that she was stupid. She just did not get it. Because even if you meant well, what you actually did was attempt to discourage somebody that wanted to change the world. So I'm gonna leave with this with you guys, right? Let's prove her wrong. Let's prove her wrong. I'm one guy that believes I can change the world. And I wanna die trying. I'm at my love, live, learn, leave a legacy aspect of my life. I'm ready to leave a legacy. I'm planning for what happens when I'm not here anymore. But I honestly need you guys. I need you guys. It won't happen without you. And I know people, you probably heard people say this and all this, but think about the data behind it. Think about the data. And God, we trust everybody bring data. Here's why I say I need you, and I'm sincere about that. My generation barely votes. The young generation hardly never votes. You guys always vote. And it's time for you guys just to stop thinking about politics, meaning the people, and start thinking about policy. Because when you guys start thinking and focusing homing on policy, you'll forget about who's your buddy. And you'll start driving policy that can actually move this city for our young people and ourselves. I thank you guys for your time.